They were journeying from where Aaron passed away. They were journeying towards the Red Sea, and it brought back memories. Once again, they started complaining, like, how long are we going to be here? Did you bring us to die in the desert? Let's go back to Egypt. There's no bread, there's no water. We're sick of this manna. Every day, the same menu, the same thing. Same menu. We're sick of this already. They were frustrated. So God sends venomous snakes upon the people, and many died. So now the people come to Moses and they say, we sinned, we spoke against you and against God. Pray to God that he should remove the snakes. So God says to Moses, make for yourself a venomous snake, place it upon a pole, and whoever was bitten will look at it and live. So Moses makes a copper snake. He places it upon a pole, and whoever was bitten by the snake lived. This is a very unusual story. The part of the story that the Jewish people complained is not so unusual. Well, it's unusual that so many times they complained, but that's who we are. But once again, so we complained, and this time God sent snakes. Why the snakes? And why this copper snake upon a pole? Which, interestingly, this becomes a sign of healing. You have, it's the emblem. It's the emblem of doctors, of physicians, the Kodashus, the serpent upon a pole. This is the origin. And so this becomes a sign of healing. Whoever looks at this pole, at the snake upon the pole, will be healed. Why is this the cause of healing? Why do we have to have a snake upon a pole? And God didn't tell him to make a copper snake. God just tell him to make a snake. Make a venomous snake and place it upon a pole, and whoever is bitten will live. So Moses, upon the instruction of God, makes a copper snake. Why a copper snake? Why not a silver snake, a gold snake? Just a simple metallic snake? I mean, what's a copper snake? So, let's begin with the last question. If you turn to the Hebrew, it makes a little bit more sense. Making a copper snake, what does a copper snake have to tell us? But if you take a look in Hebrew, the Hebrew word for snake is nachash. The Hebrew word for copper is nechoshet. So, what does the Torah tell us? Moses makes nechash nechoshet. He makes a nachash out of nechoshet. It has the same etymological root, the same root of serpent, snake, is the same root as the word copper. And you should place it upon a pole. The pole in Hebrew is nes. place it upon a pole, and whoever whoever was bitten by the nachash and will gaze upon the chash nechoshet, they will live. So the healing comes from gazing upon a nachash which is made of nechoshet. And it was uplifted upon a pole. Why does God send serpents? Why does God send snakes to attack the Jewish people? So here again we have a flashback. Just like we had a flashback yesterday about the two brothers, again we have a flashback now to the origin of the Torah, the story of the serpent. The story of the serpent is the origin of all our failings. We all have the inner serpent inside of us. A serpent doesn't seem to be much of a threat. On the ground, how could this creature be of any danger? But the serpent, first of all, is not only low on the ground, you don't really see it. It slithers in the grass, and before you know it, it attacks you. And it circumvents you. It goes around and around. And it's very dangerous. The snake comes with different arguments to Eve, and then which is then brought to Adam, finding different reasons why, even though God said don't eat from the forbidden fruit, why really, it's overrated. It's not that big of a deal. You'll have deeper knowledge, you'll have deeper understanding, you'll be better off with it. It's not that big of a deal. Don't worry about it. Ultimately, this becomes the downfall of Adam and Eve, and they're expelled from Gan Eden into this world. As a result of that, we have our own snake that is within each and every one of us, which causes us that we have freedom of choice to do the right thing or the wrong thing. But nevertheless, we have the inner snake, and it's attacked. It attacks. But here we have the answer. How can we truly overcome that inner serpent? The inner negative inclination. How can we overcome temptation? This becomes the lesson of really overcoming a temptation. And so God says, make a snake and place it upon a pole. What does Moshe do? He makes a snake out of copper. How could there be a negative inclination? This is really the question. Where do we get temptation from? Why is there a negative inclination? How could there be something that stands against God? Are there two forces? The forces of good and the forces of evil? God is on the forces of good, and he has a force that contends against God. There can't be anything against God. Nothing is a threat to God. How could there be anything against God? So the reason why we have a negative inclination is not because there is another force. The negative inclination God creates in order that we should have freedom of choice. And we should do the right thing. So if the origin of the snake is in order to give us freedom of choice, then really, at its core, even though it comes to tempt an individual, there is temptation. At its core, it's not evil. At its core, it really wants us to do the right thing. But God wants to give us freedom of choice to be able to make the right choice. And we should not be robots. We should choose good. We should be divine. We should choose to be in a relationship with God. So when we are tempted, we have temptation inside of us. The scenario usually goes something like, yeah, I know I should do the right thing. Yeah, but let me do this first. It's not so bad. It's enjoyable. It'll give me enjoyment, temporary enjoyment. Or, hey, live it up. Do something enjoyable. No one ever thinks, let me do something evil. Let me do something bad. Let me do something wrong. It always begins with the pretext. This is the right thing to do. It's an enjoyable thing to do. It's only temporary. It's only something small. That's how it is.
Yeah, gambling or
whatever it is, gambling, doing something wrong,
racing cars.
Whatever, you name it, whatever is wrong. No one is thinking, let me do a wrong thing. They're thinking, let me do something fun. Let me do something that's just a small thing. But it's wrong. Whatever it is, whether it's gossiping, whether it's doing anything wrong. Having something which is not kosher, something which is not kosher literally or not kosher figuratively, whatever it is. If we look at our negative inclination and we realize that it itself has no independent source, it's only for us to be able to make the right choice. That itself would give us so much more strength to overcome the challenge. So what does Moses do? He takes the serpent and he makes it out of copper. Why out of copper? Copper is the etymological source of the word serpent. It's nachash, nechoshet. So by Moses making a serpent out of copper, he's indicating, don't look at the serpent as an independent entity. Look at its source. The source of the serpent, of the word serpent, nachash, is the same root as the word nechoshet, which is a precious metal. The negative inclination within us is not inherently negative. When is it negative? It's negative when it's independent. The negative inclination within us is the inclination of our bodily needs, our physical, emotion, our own personal needs. Forget about the word evil. Let's get to the source of it. You want to get to the source of evil? Forget about the word evil. Look at the words instead. Our own personal needs and what we're needed for. That's at the root of it. Anything which becomes what I need, let's take that and extract it further and further and further. What I need is really all about me. If I focus in life about me, that becomes the source of what makes my decisions. What is my decision making? What is my decision making barometer? It's about how I feel, what I need. What about me? So if that becomes the barometer of what I do, what I don't do, whatever is good for me, I do. Whatever is not good for me, I don't do. So, what do I eat? I eat only what tastes good. What's the difference? What effect it will have? As long as it tastes good is what I care. What I like is what I do. So if we get to the origin of it, the origin of the negativity, which gets out of hand, is a negativity which comes from the needs. If, however, I focus on what I'm needed for, that's a whole different ballgame. If I focus on what I'm needed for, you won't go wrong. If we only ask ourselves, what am I needed for? You won't go wrong by asking that question. But wait a second. If I keep on asking what I'm needed for, how am I going to live? Now you're asking a question. So let's repeat that question. If I focus on what I'm needed for, how am I going to live? Or rather, how am I going to exist? How am I going to be? So this gets back to the question of, is my purpose to live, or am I living with purpose? If my purpose is to live, yeah, you're right. My purpose is to live, continuously asking myself, what am I needed for, is not fulfilling my purpose to live. If I'm living with purpose, but I need to eat, I need to have a roof over my head, I need to pay the bills, otherwise how am I going to fulfill what I'm needed for? Now I realize that my needs have to be in the right context. Let's put things in the right context, and now we'll have a better picture. If I ask myself, what am I needed for? What are you needed for? You're needed to help other people. You're needed to heal others. You're needed to, whatever your vocation is, whatever your job is, whatever your talents are, using your talents to be able to help others. Using your talents to be able to fulfill your purpose that God gave you. But I need to put food on my table. I need to have a roof over my head. They are not an end in itself. These are all means to a higher end. Now, if I realize that these are all means to a higher end, then I've uplifted it. The reason why I need to pay the mortgage is not just for me to be able to live in order to just enjoy. I need to fulfill what I'm needed for. I need a roof over my head. I need to have good health. Because if I'm not healthy, I can't fulfill what I'm needed for. All of these can be channeled into fulfilling what I'm needed for, what God needs of me. If I reposition them in the right place, I've uplifted it. What did Moses do? He took the serpent, which is the cause of negativity, and he realigned it to its source. Nachash is associated with Nachoshet, which is copper. He uplifted this copper serpent that you look up and you see heavens. You uplifted it. When we uplift our inner inclination, and I ask myself the question, I'm hungry. You're hungry. You need to eat. Do you need to eat?
Yes.
What do you need to eat? You need what you needed for. No. I really have to ask, what am I needed for? Okay. So if I'm needed for, what are you needed for? I'm needed to use my talents and abilities to fulfill what God needs of me. I'm needed to do mitzvahs. Okay. Now if I'm needed to do mitzvahs, then I need to have the energy, the strength to be able to do it. Okay, so let me open up that bag of potato chips. Huh? The bag of potato chips? How's the bag of potato chips going to give you the energy to be able to uplift yourself to do what you're needed? Oh, okay, fine. I'm going to open up the tub of ice cream and go through the tub of ice cream. Huh? How is that going to help?
Ice cream gives you energy.
Yeah, so let me go through. If ice cream gives me energy, so going through not just one spoon, not just a scoop. Let's go through the quart of ice cream. It's good. We've had those days, right? Let's sit on the couch and go through it. Let's go through more and some more.
Too much sugar. There you go. Too much sugar.
Too much. There's no such thing as too much sugar. You get the point. The point is, when we ask ourselves the question, what I'm needed for, and then we ask our questions, what do I need to fulfill what I'm needed for? We end up making different decisions, healthier decisions. This becomes the origin of healing. That's why the serpent upon the pole is a sign of healing. Not just physical healing, inner healing. The beginning of inner healing is putting things in the right context, in the right perspective. Having a higher perspective on life is the cause of inner healing, is the cause of making better decisions. And with that, we have the fulfillment here of bringing healing to life, bringing to healing of those who are bitten by the serpent. Those who are bitten by our inner serpent can now rechannel that. And instead of just ignoring the inner serpent, uplifting the inner serpent to doing what it's needed for. Have an awesome day. Have a Shabbat Shalom. Davening tonight is at 6:30.